The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Feelings don't matter, so brace yourself tight. He'll lay it down heavy, he'll light up the night. No sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen closer, just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast airways, feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we're going to start it as we do by saying to Iceman, Jason, Mike, Tabby, Javier, Fitz, McShane, El Jefe, Devlin, Morty, to the guys from the Weather Report, to Billy G, to Walt from the B-Raw Podcast, to Kate, the Duchess of New Jersey. Thank you guys for the continued support. It really means a lot to me that you guys care enough to keep listening every week. So we're going to start out with a little light housekeeping here as we go into the upcoming thing. Haven't really been teasing it too much, but I made some changes around the office. If you follow me on any of the socials, you've probably seen I posted some pictures. My home office, workspace, recording areas, studio, whatever the hell I'm calling this room now, has undergone some modifications. That is part of a process that is going to lead to potentially me doing more live streams and or adding a video component to this podcast, so you will actually be able to see my lovely mug and potentially more, guests and things like that, where we'll be doing video recordings and maybe not always. I mean, if I have guests who prefer to keep their faces from being thrown out on the internet with things they're saying, then it's going to be an audio-only episode, and I'll just put dancing monkeys on the video or something. I don't know. But yeah, so hopefully this turns out to be a positive change, and everybody will be happy with it, and it'll be fun and amazing, and you guys will get more enjoyment out of the show, and it will be more work for me, but maybe it'll actually lead to this thing getting to be more serious or something. I don't know. So anyway, it's been a hell of a week in terms of, anybody that was of a certain age, the tail end of Gen X, and even actually most of Gen X probably got hit pretty hard this week. We had several people passing. It's a shame, they say these things always come in threes, but it was a little more than threes. We had, first and foremost, the Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne, shortly after his tribute concert, which was a tribute to Black Sabbath, and he was on stage for it. Passed away, I believe, at the age of 76, and, it's a shame. I mean, yeah, Ozzy lived a long, hard life. He was not taking real good care of himself. Say what you will, the man lived a wild run, but he went out on his terms. Yeah, during the Black Sabbath tribute, he wasn't, up and running around and everything. He spent the entire show seated on a big, elaborate throne and, doing the Slash show, and then actually just passed a few days later, and people were saying, he knew what was coming. He had stopped taking a lot of the pain meds and everything so he could be lucid for that last concert, and he did it for the fans to show how much he appreciated everything they've given him over the years. And overall, just, really cool way to go out for a guy that was, for all intents and purposes, I mean, dude lived hard, lived a life that will be remembered long after he's gone, and I guess to a certain extent that's a certain degree of immortality in and of itself. And then, so, the world's kind of, well, shit, Ozzy died. That sucks. The world's reeling. And then a couple days later, Hulk Hogan died. And a lot of people are a little more, they tried to cancel him towards the end of his life, his career, however you want to look at it. And I don't agree with everything about the way he lived his life in terms of, his personal life. But that's his fucking life. I'm not one to tell him how to live it. The guy was an icon, regardless of how you may feel about some of his personal shit. Did he use language that was, particularly in today's times, is considered severely inappropriate? Yeah, he did. Did he say some things he probably shouldn't have where it was on record? Yeah, he did. Did he piss off every leftist ghoulish sack of shit by taking a stance and endorsing the Cheeto and generally being a right-leaning person who believed in American values? Yeah, he did. And frankly, the fact that so many leftist pieces of shit were just all in a fucking tizzy to come out and dance on this man's grave. Like, oh, he died and nobody will miss him and blah, 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 blah. And, it says a lot about these motherfuckers that they're out there. Again, and I've said it before, too, the left is a fucking death cult. There's no nice way to spin it, and I don't feel any need to be nice to these fucking people when they can look at somebody who his entire persona, like my entire childhood and through a lot of other people's childhoods, he was the wrestler on Saturday morning that came out there, and for years before he turned heel, it was say your prayers, eat your vitamins, live the American way, God bless America, listen, respect your parents, do your homework, be a good person. And obviously, since the modern left doesn't agree with any of those principles, they all think he's a horrific piece of shit. Did he say some racist shit? Sure, he did. And he got, it was recorded and it was made public and they tried to cancel him for it. And it really didn't work all that fucking well, partly because he doesn't care. But realistically, he's from a different generation. People just were different attitudes. And nobody expected the guy to be a fucking saint. He was a wrestler, but he was he was still an inspiration and a role model for a ton of people for the character of Hulk Hogan. I mean, Terry Bollea, it was, he might not have been the greatest guy, and the fact that he's estranged from his two grown kids, and there's all kinds of drama unfolding about this shit where his new wife is trying to make sure that his kids that he was estranged from get none of his property, and she keeps for his little kids that she had with him, keeps the $26 million or whatever it was his net worth was when he died. Plus, he held a whole bunch of property and shit. And there's a whole bunch of unnecessary bullshit tied into that. And people are trying to point to that as to what a piece of shit he was because of how his estate's being handled now that he's gone tits up. And again, I don't fucking care. I didn't ask anybody for their fucking opinions on it. Nobody asked me for my fucking opinions on it either. And I'm not, blind to the fact that this is just me talking, but it's my show. I'll talk about what I want. And if you're here listening to it, obviously you might want to hear what I think. So there we go. So Ozzy dies, Hulk dies, and in several group chats and on several social media platforms, people are saying about how these things come in threes and who's going to be the next one. And then depending on where you stand in the world, there were a few more people that died, and one of them was Theo Huxtable. Yes, that's right. Malcolm Jamal Warner was out in the ocean, got sucked up by a riptide and drowned. Fucking shame. The guy was only 50, I think it was 54 years old. Young to be dead. And it's a shame. And if you weren't a fan of The Cosby Show or you didn't know him as Theo, he did do a lot of work later on. I mean, he took a hiatus from acting for a while, but he came back and he was in a lot of other good roles. And realistically, drowning, shitty, terrible fucking way to go. Nobody should. Well, actually, I almost caught myself in a lie, and I was going to say nobody should be drowned, but I can think of plenty of people that deserve to be drowned like a fucking sack full of unwanted kittens. But I digress. Theo, Malcolm Jamal Warner, out in the ocean on vacation, sucked out by a riptide, drowned. That's a pity. That's a shame. A lot of people are trying to say, oh, well, particularly, again, younger fucking Gen Z and maybe to a certain extent Gen Alpha, had no idea who he was, no idea the significance, automatically have to cancel The Cosby Show because Bill did some creepy shit, 40 years ago, and people waited 20 or 30 years to come out about it, which, yeah, nothing sus about that at all, and I've said that before. Was he probably spiking people's drinks and doing icky shit? Yeah, it seems that way, but it shouldn't negate the you got to, I've talked about this on other subjects, separating the artist from the art. And The Cosby Show was a show that taught family values and morals and ethics, even if the actors themselves were not necessarily partaking of those morals and values and ethics. The message behind the show, you need to separate it from the fucking creepy guy spiking your pudding pops. And for whatever reason, as a society, we apparently lost the ability to separate art from artist in a lot of ways, and honestly, I feel like as a society we are poorer for that. But try telling that to any of these screaming retards who want to cancel everyone and everything that doesn't exactly line up with their ideologies, and you'd be better serviced to be talking to a fucking wall. And then right around the same time that Malcolm Jamal Warner passed, the one that kind of caught me, and it this may not hit as hard for as many people. Depends more on your taste and things like that. But Chuck Mangione also died. Now, if you are unaware, I should never make assumptions about who's into what and whatnot. But Chuck Mangione was in had a jazz band, and he was a flugelhorn slash. I think he's pretty much exclusively flugelhorn, but he played trumpet on a couple of songs. But anyway, brass instrument player. Talented musician. You've probably heard it even if you don't know it. Anyway, point being, he died too. Now, him dying, a little less of a surprise as he was like 85 or 84 years old when he passed. So that was, more old age, less of a tragedy, more of a just, hey, that happens. And so, yeah, Chuck passed. Sad. I was sad to hear it as somebody who, when I was a kid and I was in band and I played trumpet and I was just somebody I was aware of. And like I said, I dig jazz. So I did, over this weekend, I did bust out some Chuck Mangione on vinyl and played his album and sat back and had a cocktail in his honor. And that was that. Yeah, kind of a bummer. But again, like I said, dude's 84 years old. Not a tragedy at that point. After you become an octogenarian, you dying really shouldn't be a shock to anybody, right? Not that I'm trying to make light of it. I'm just saying. But anyway, moving on from the kind of morose to the other shit that's been going on this week. And it's been an interesting week. Still no further developments in the Epstein Files case. Other than the fact that the left is all of a sudden really, really yammering to get this shit released. Now, when they had full control of Congress and a puppet president that would auto-pen whatever he put in front of them, they had no interest in the Epstein Files at all. Dick Durbin, my sack of shit senator for the state I live in, actively stopped the release of the Epstein logs and the files and everything else. And now all of a sudden, this sack of shit is out here flapping his yap every goddamn day saying, we'll release the files, the people deserve to know, and a bunch of other disingenuous horse shit. And as I understand it, the White House is in talks with Ghislaine Maxwell to come forth and testify and offering her some sort of immunity to name names or whatever the case may be. They're still trying to get the grand jury documents unsealed from the original case because, honestly, those are probably the only ones that haven't been fucking tampered with at this point. Now, I've said it before, I'll say it again because it bears repeating. I'm sure there was never like an actual like little black book or a Rolodex or a bunch of documents saying, okay, this creepy fucker slept with this underage chick on that date, and here's my list of blackmail information, because that's not how effective conspiracies work. I've talked about this before. When you want to blackmail motherfuckers, you don't keep like easily accessible running data everywhere and I'm sure there is evidence. I'm sure there is footage of people doing horrible shit to children. The problem is at this point, all of a sudden, all the people that were either actively interfering with the files releases or dead fucking silent about it for the last 4.5 years are all now yammering to have it come out. Oh, well, this is going to be bad for your administration. That's why you're blocking it. And yes, granted, the Trump administration fumbled the fuck out of this case. I don't know if Pam Bondi's intentionally turfing the fucking ball on this one or if she's really just that fucking stupid. She oversold the files. She was talking about, oh, well, it's on my desk right now before she actually looked at any of the evidence that was there. So she mishandled this from the jump, from the stupid fucking binders to the promises they made to the way the Cheeto-dusted motherfucker has handled it since. Where he's like, it's a scam. It was cooked up by the left. It's a fraud. It's the same people that came up with the Russia hoax. Why are we still talking about this shit? That's not what the people wanted to hear. That's not what you were elected. That's not what you were running on when you got elected. I mean, if you're going to say, look, there's a bunch of bullshit in here. We think these files were compromised because the FBI refused to cooperate. It was a partisan organization. They had 4.5 years to tamper with the data. We don't have anything that's usable. That is transparency. When you're saying things like, yes, there's a shit ton of porn here, but we can't prove anything on it, which, I don't believe that there's anything they can prove on it, because if you can't prove anything on it, you can identify a fucking driver and mail a ticket to their house from a fucking shitty, blurry little 3-pixel camera on a fucking interstate. you should be able to identify the people that are fucking these kids, unless they took all kinds of ridiculous precautions, in which case, how was the stuff being used to blackmail them if there was nothing identifiable about them in the documentation? But just for 5 seconds, ignoring the fact that, like I said, I really don't believe there was some, physical, tangible client list that they just happened to get their hands on that Epstein maintained. Do I think there were blackmail materials? I'm sure there were. He had his New York apartment, his Florida place, and the island wired for sound in every fucking room in the building. Everything there were cameras fucking everywhere. That's how these kind of things work. Do I believe that some of the conspiracy theories are plausible? Yeah, I do. Do I believe Epstein was a fucking intelligence asset? Yeah, it would not surprise me in the least, because the amount of faith I have in the government is nil. The fact of the matter is, governments are run by people. People are easily corruptible. Power attracts the corruptible. And it all kind of goes hand in hand, that it would make perfect sense for intelligence organizations to try and blackmail powerful individuals to grow their own powers, through that. So it's not implausible to me that these things exist, that these materials exist. It's also not implausible to me that after an administration that showed exactly zero interest in releasing any of the documentation or doing right by any of the people who were impacted by it for 4 years would fuck with it and corrupt it and taint it where it only presented a bad image on certain people. Now, do I believe Trump was in it, which is what everybody's trying to say now? Well, he's not releasing the files because he's in them and he's implicated and he did all kinds of icky nasties to kids. I really don't believe that, because I believe if there was any concrete evidence that he did any of that shit, I mean, we all know he was in the flight logs. I've talked about this before, too. Private jets, rich motherfuckers used to do that shit. Like, hey, I'm heading that way. You want to ride? And things like that happen. I mean, it doesn't even have to be multi-billionaires to do that shit. Anybody that's got a private plane. I know people that, have like Piper Cubs that have been like, hey, I'm going to Michigan to get breakfast. You want to roll with me? Does that mean you were going somewhere to diddle kids together? No, you happened to hop on a plane that was going the same direction. Doesn't mean you were hanging out and buddy-buddy all the time. It was just, like it or not, Trump and Epstein did travel in similar circles because they were both rich motherfuckers. Rich motherfuckers tend to travel in influential circles with other rich motherfuckers. Garden variety broke people like me don't. It's just the way it works. It's the nature of the fucking world, broke motherfuckers aren't out there rubbing elbows with billionaires on a regular basis. So, yeah, there's going to be some overlap in social circles. There's going to be certain affiliations and associations. There's going to be a lot of shit going on. Do I believe Cash and Trump and Bongino and Bondi oversold the fuck out of the whole principle? Yes, I do. Do I believe they've fucked up their handling of it severely? Yes, I do. They promised transparency. They delivered anything but. They're, no, just trust us. There's nothing there. Trust us. You don't want to see the thousands of hours of child porn. No, we fucking don't. You're right. Nobody wants to see that is any way, shape, or form mentally well-adjusted. I'm sure there are some sicko fucking pedophile motherfuckers that are like, yes, no, I want to see that heavy breathing noises. And you know what? No, those creepy motherfuckers, they should go in the wood chipper too. But I also don't think that just because you're a rich, powerful, influential motherfucker, you shouldn't go in a wood chipper if you're fucking diddling kids. It's kind of a, a deal breaker issue for me. There's no gray area as far as I'm concerned. I don't care how much you're worth. I don't care what you think you provide to society. If you're a piece of shit, you deserve to die. It's just that fucking simple. Call me old-fashioned, call me crazy. I don't fucking care. But, yeah, so, like I said, nothing gets released on the Epstein files. There's some developments with Ghislaine where she comes out like, oh, yeah, I'll testify to Congress. I'll do this, I'll do that. She's probably trying to... And like I said, as the rumor mill has it, she's been talking to the White House. The White House is potentially going to offer at least partial immunity to testify against names or whatever. Again, this is also unsubstantiated as of the moment, but it's apparently on the table. But, if they're not going to prosecute any of the people that she trafficked underage girls to, why is she sitting in prison? You can't commit a crime if there's no one having the crime committed to them. It's, it's just a logical fallacy that there can be someone trafficking girls without them being trafficked to anyone. So, not that I think it's right. I think she's a piece of fucking human trash as well, and she shouldn't be never walking free another day in her fucking life. But at the end of the day, I'm just saying from a purely legal logic standpoint, how is there a crime if there were no co-conspirators, no co-actors? But anyway, so yeah, there's really still a whole lot of nothing coming from that, even though now the left is yammering, and the Trump apologists, for lack of a better thing to call them, are out here saying, see, he's playing 5D chess. Now all of a sudden everybody wants the list released because they think they're going to burn him with it. But realistically, all they're doing is getting the Dems to be on board with burning themselves, because obviously only the bad guys from the other side are going to be on board this list because, people are fucking stupid. But at the end of the day, like me personally, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you're on that list, you deserve to be fucking ended. Doing horrible things to children is never going to be acceptable. I don't care what letter comes after your name next to your roll call for Congress. I don't care what company you run. I don't care how much your fucking net worth is. If you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit. You shouldn't be immune to consequence for being a rich piece of shit. And speaking of rich pieces of shit, Hunter Biden did an interview, which was very interesting, trying to come out and defend Joe. And I mean, basically, it was everything you'd imagine an uncensored interview with a fucking crackhead would sound like. He's going on about how, crack is better than regular Coke because it's pure, because you cook it up. Basically, I mean, he was like White Master P's, giving instructions on how to make fucking crack from cocaine. Talking about how if he was president, he'd be going down to El Salvador to get all the fucking people back and demand that everybody that was deported to El Salvador be released and brought back to the country. I mean, just it was really everything you could imagine that a junkie with a platform would say or do, he said and or did. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there talking about it, and there will be people rolling clips of it and all this other stuff. That's not how this show works. I mean, maybe if I start taking things more seriously, I'll start sticking clips in here and shit, but then I don't want to have to deal with figuring out what's fair use and what has royalties attached to it and all this other shit. I feel for the guys that do it. There's a big shout out to the guys at Whiskey Hell. You do things, much more seriously and much more in depth than I do, and I respect you always. You guys know that. But anyway, yeah, so I got sidetracked by rich pieces of shit. Yeah, and Hunter, yeah, definitely big rich piece of shit. It's I can't even I've completely derailed my own train of thought here. But yeah, so anyway, so based on the timing, and again, now the Trump administration is calling for the grand jury testimony of Ghislaine Maxwell to be unsealed. Which, like I said, since that was sealed documentation, that's probably the closest thing to untainted evidence they can get released. But it hasn't happened yet. And, we have various congresspersons demanding the release of all the Epstein data and the Epstein files and everything that the government has. And instead of voting on that, because even Thomas Massey, who I generally respect, is out there hollering for it. And he was getting ready to put a motion to the floor to be voted on. And instead of voting on it, Congress went into an early recess, going into their August recess. And I've had this conversation with people, and a lot of people say, oh, well, Congress takes all this time out of session to go back and communicate with their constituents and to go back to their hometowns and find out how things are going and get to be out there and commune with the people and get their resources. Maybe in an ideal world, that's how it worked. Maybe in the old days, that's how it worked before becoming a career parasite became a job, where your entire thing was to scam as much money off the American taxpayer as you could for as long as you possibly could, and then to retire into being a lobbyist or die while you're in office, which is a lot more likely with the fucking geriatric cunt rags we have in office nowadays. They won't leave unless they're forced out. And, they're not. We need term limits. We need age limits. We need no more geriatric motherfuckers who will not live to see the consequences of their robbing of the treasury on their way out to one foot in the grave. Horse shit motherfuckers. But yeah, so in a interesting timing thing, Tulsi Gabbard comes out and says she's releasing a bunch of information that it relates to the Russian collusion scandal of 2016. And she says they have information, and there will be, subpoenas will be going out, summonses will be going out, possibly arrest warrants will be going out for a lot of very high-profile names on the left that are implicated by all kinds of... Apparently, there's all kinds of evidence that basically the White House under Obama and Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and the FBI director and the director of intelligence, and a whole bunch of other people from 2016, the 2016 election cycle, all knew that the Russia collusion narrative was horseshit. Fabricated it, constructed it, released it to the media, pushed it as a narrative that everybody needed to hear and everybody needed to see, knowing it was blatantly false. Now, do I think anything is going to come of this? Do I think any prosecutions are going to come of it? Do I think anybody of any significance is going to wind up in fucking cuffs? Probably not. I mean, Obama's probably going to claim presidential immunity or whatever. And, well, I don't think that should apply to treasonous acts such as trying to directly interfere with a fucking fair and open election, which is exactly what the Russian collusion hoax was. And it's utterly retarded to me that, but I also understand this is the way the world works, and these corrupt, soulless, guileless motherfuckers are probably all going to walk. But like I said, it was Obama, it was Hillary Clinton, it was Bill Clinton, it was the director of the FBI at the time, it was all these big names implicated, and they're talking about these people are going to be, they're going to be getting summoned, and they're going to be coming to, there's going to be hearings, and there's going to be trials, and basically, to my way of thinking, Tulsi put a great big target on her own back if any of this is true, because in case you haven't noticed, it's a meme for a reason, but anybody that comes forward talking about I have evidence on the Clintons winds up taking a fucking dirt nap. I mean, now granted, nobody in their right mind is going to go around thinking Tulsi's suicidal, but on the other hand, if she winds up getting whacked, it's not like that she's got no enemies out there. She's not making herself a lot of friends. She's not making herself popular. They could blame it on cartels. They could blame it on international actions. They could blame it on foreign governments, all of which could be considered viable things. But the conspiracy theorists are going to say it's because she had evidence on Bill and Hillary. And, a lot of people aren't discussing this with any kind of seriousness other than the super far right, radical right motherfuckers. Oh, well, I told you Obama was, that sumbitch. Or you get the really racist redneck motherfucker like that goddamn darky. But either way, I mean, like I said, I make no secret of this, that I voted for Obama in 2008. But his strongest running point to me was that he wasn't a geriatric fuck. He wasn't ancient. He wasn't going to be coming out of the White House in fucking diapers. So that was his biggest strong selling point to me. It wasn't hope and change and everything's going to get better under this fucking guy. He's not a geriatric fuck. I was young. I was naive. I didn't take the time to stop and think about the swamp or the deep state or whatever the fuck you want to call it. The bloated bureaucratic existence that is festering around our federal government that operates purely in its self-interest. This guy's meteoric rise to national interest, young senator comes up out of Illinois. Yeah, nothing corrupt about the Illinois politic machine. But this young guy comes along and he's dynamic and he speaks well and he's engaging and he's very charismatic. And like I said, to people like me, he's not fucking ancient. He's not a geriatric motherfucker. We'll be better off with him. So in 2008, I voted for Obama. I damn sure didn't vote to reelect the son of a bitch because I was disillusioned very quickly when he came in and basically dropped the veil and dropped the mask. But we had so many smooth-brained fucks that were just on board with everything he was doing that couldn't acknowledge, oh yeah, shit was getting rough, but it's got to get rough before it gets better. And I heard so much other dumb shit. I mean, the fact that I was paying $4 a gallon for gas back then in 2009, and it was just fuck up after fuck up, and things just kept getting progressively worse, all under the guise of hope and change. And all of a sudden, under Obama, the fucking federal government can now propagandize the American people. And we are going to, despite the fact that he deported more people than Trump has so far, but all this strong talk, and it came out of the Clinton camp, and it came out of his camp, and about all this bullshit where we're going to make our border secure, and if you're here illegally, you're going home. All the same talk that comes out of Trump's mouth, because I've said it over and over again. Trump is a mid-90s fucking Democrat. every policy he has, every stance he has, it would be fine with any Democrat from the 90s. Okay, maybe not anyone, but most of them, because, you know, in the 90s and even the early 2000s, putting America first was not seen as a negative thing. That's like the biggest, oh, well, he's a fascist because he doesn't want to help the global community. No, globalists are a bad thing. If you don't believe that, you're fucking retarded, because globalism has not benefited any of the fucking countries that have partaken in it. Any of the advanced first world nations that open their borders recklessly to fucking imported third world degenerates, none of them are places you would want to go hang out right now. I mean, you know, you'd have to pull fucking teeth with a pair of pliers and a fucking blowtorch to get most people to admit that. But objectively, it's the fucking truth. It's the reason why Great Britain may become the next caliphate. It's, you know, Keir Starmer, and he's over there. They're censoring their citizens. If you are a white motherfucker in England, of all fucking places, I mean, that is one of the whitest fucking places on the fucking planet, or at least it used to be. Now it's very Islamic because they've imported the third world. They have bent over backwards to accommodate these motherfuckers, and they don't see a problem with it. You have Islamists blocking streets for prayers. That's not a religious thing. It's not, oh, well, it's prayer time, I have to drop right where I am. That is literally a third world flex. We are going to sit here, we are going to impede you from going about your day, and you can do nothing about it because our will is greater than yours. Because, and frankly, the third world scumbags, you know, they may be, you know, heathens that believe in fucking children and livestock and wiping their ass with their bare hand, which is what, never take something from an Islamist left hand, just so you know it's an insult if you do. And people are saying, oh, Aaron, you're being racist, you're being phobic. No, the fuck I'm not. I'm speaking facts. If you don't like them, that doesn't make them any less true. And it's not that I particularly give a fuck. If you're an Islamic person and you don't want to force your face down my fucking throat, you and I can be friends just fine. I literally have no problem against Muslim people. I have problems against people who think I need to live according to their values. I don't care what fucking bolt of cloth you're cut from. If you think I should be following Shira law because God told your people that that's the chosen way to live, fuck you. No, I shouldn't. If you think I should be following Christian doctrine because your God said that's the way people should live, again, fuck you. No, I shouldn't. It's up to me what path I choose to live my life. And if you are trying to force your beliefs on me, I don't care if you're agnostic. I don't care if you're an atheist and you don't believe in God at all, but you still think I should live my life according to your values. Fuck you. No, I don't force my beliefs on anybody else, and I don't believe anybody else should have a right to force their beliefs on me. I believe that's a universal fucking truth. I believe people should be allowed to live their best lives as long as them living their best lives does not directly impact anyone else having the same right. It's real simple. However, when you look at these third world shitheads who breed like rabbits compared to, and this is not a new concept, this is something that's happened going back to, there are documents from fucking ancient Rome that bemoan the drop in birth rates in Roman citizens as opposed to the barbarian hordes, because it seems to be a thing. And I'm sure there's people that studied sociology seriously and in depth could probably tell you more reasons behind it than I can, but it is a statistic that exists and it's out there and it's a fact. Again, it's not something that your feelings will change. It's a simple fact of the matter. The more towards the spectrum of civilization you go, the lower the birth rate becomes for that society. Because it becomes a matter of more intellect and more thought. And I mean, if you look at the start of Idiocracy, they talked about it right there. People who have their lives together and come at things from a more cerebral approach will have fewer kids, A, because they're not doing physical labor, like you're not out there running the farms. You don't need 12 fucking kids to make the place run and to survive. And B, they come at it from, you know, how many kids can we afford? Is my life in a good place to have children right now? So the smarter people breed less. The retards breed like fucking rabbits. Same could go in terms of civilizations. The more civilized people say we don't need so many children to flood the world. the fucking Ungabungas are out there going, God, you fuck this, fuck that. Oh, no, rubber's bad. Our God says that women are here for the service of men so we can rape and pillage. And if you get raped by another man and you have the audacity to complain about it, we'll stone you to death for being there to tempt him. Men aren't responsible for their own fucking impulses. They don't need this. Women are responsible for tempting the men, and the men not having any self-control. That's Allah's will. But that's a really sexy goat you got there, Muhammad. You know what? Fuck you, motherfuckers. And I'm sure, I'm 99% sure this is not going to come out to anybody who would take this very kindly. And I'm 100% sure I wouldn't fucking care if it did. If this finds its way into somebody who thinks I'm a bigot or I'm a phobe or anything else, I don't fucking care. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I'm a very decent, accepting person as long as you reciprocate. The instant you try and change my beliefs to reflect your fucking values because you think you're in any way, shape, or form morally, spiritually, intellectually superior to me, no, you're not, and you can go fuck yourself. You can fuck two people that look just like you. You can fuck your parents for raising a failed fucking human being, and you can eat a giant bag of cocks. That's just how I feel about things. That's just the way it works for me. If you don't like it, you're listening to the wrong fucking show. Sorry, not sorry. But anyway, yeah, so I completely derailed my own train of thought there. Oh, yeah, Obama, yada, yada, globalists, bullshit, retards. And, I've refused to believe, even though, like I said, at the time, Barry was the deporter-in-chief. They referred to him as that for a while. He deported a bunch of motherfuckers. I also, at this point, the conspiratorial part of my brain believes, because he said it on his way out, how would he run for a third term in office if he could get away with it? He would have somebody else up there to do all the fucking, shucking and jiving in front of the public, and he would just kind of run things from the back. White House logs come out the whole time during Joe's presidency. He was often there 8 hours a day, or 6 to 8 hours a day, just sign in as Joe time when he would sign into the White House logs. You tell me this motherfucker didn't still have his hands in everything that was going on, and I'm going to tell you, you're fucking retarded. There's still no real evidence. That whole auto pen scandal seems to have gone away really fast because the Trump DOJ, if nothing else, has proven to be really fucking impotent when it comes to going after people in the system that probably fucking deserve it. I said Bondi was a disappointment when she got confirmed. She has done literally zero to change my mind about that. It was a bad pick. I mean, a lot of people are out there, Matt Gaetz would have been better, and if he was out there, he's a pit bull. This would have been going. Yeah, I kind of said the same thing about Bongino and Patel, and they've been massive disappointments too. Now, Bongino, to his slight redemption, he's still kind of trying. He made a statement that's basically said, since I've taken this job, the things I've seen, I will never be able to look at life the same again. Things need to change. Things need to be fixed. You cannot run a society this way. Obviously, he saw some shit in his new position that's got him rattled. Do I think somebody showed him a picture of his wife with a fucking drone sight on her? Maybe. But at the end of the day, like I said, I don't think Gaetz would have been much better in the DOJ. Like I said, I think Bondi was a fucking mistake. I said that from the jump. Primarily based on her Second Amendment track record and the fact that she was the one that kind of fucked up the case with Epstein in Florida in the first place. Gave him a shitty plea bargain that let him walk. So, yeah, I had no faith in her other than, I didn't have the blind MAGA faith because I'm not a blind MAGA cultist. I don't believe that anyone is above reproach, including their golden god. Do I like Trump better than Kamala? By miles, leaps and fucking bounds. Did I walk into this thinking he was going to deliver everything that he said he was going to do on a silver platter? No, because the motherfucker's always talked bigger than he's been able to. And as I said during election season, when I was bemoaning the fact that the general population of this country is so fucking stupid that they don't actually understand what the president's powers are. And they don't understand what responsibilities are beholden to the Senate and to Congress and to the fucking judiciary branch. People are deliberately ignorant of this shit. The educational system in this country deliberately creates people who don't know how the fucking country is supposed to be running. So the fact that it's not running right the fact that Congress can delegate all of their fucking responsibilities to unelected bureaucrats in different three-lettered agencies, when they don't have to make laws because they have these agencies passing rules instead that carry the same weight as a law, even though they were never voted on or ratified by fucking Congress. Because the reality of the matter is implementation and enforcement is what makes something, even from a legal standpoint, it may not carry the weight of law, but from a day-to-day how it impacts your life, yes, the fuck it does. Because if they choose to enforce it accordingly, that gives it the weight of law without actually being properly vetted through the process and voted upon by our duly elected representatives, who realistically don't actually represent any of us. And subsequently, the ignorant population got all worked up because Trump made all these fucking promises. I didn't expect him to be able to come through, and I'm going to broker peace on day one. Now, granted, the motherfuckers negotiated a lot more peace than anybody else in the last 20 fucking years that was in the White House. He's definitely out there making moves, moving, shaking. Just got a trade deal negotiated with the fucking UK, and I'm pretty sure he's got one online for the EU next. And in a lot of ways, if the scuttlebutt's true, it's going to be heavily advantageous to America, and I don't have a problem with that at all, because, again, the priority was America first. If Europe has to start paying their fair share of shit, I don't feel bad about it at all. I still think we need to withdraw from the UN. I still think we need to withdraw from the WHO and every other fucking globalist piece of shit, fucking shit-stained governmental body on the fucking planet, because we as a country carry the lion's share of responsibility for everyone. And that's one of those things, these retarded leftist globalist pieces of shit and the retarded domestically raised leftist suicidal empathy having sex of shit who are all out here bemoaning that the world is going to have all these problems if we don't solve them for them, if we don't pay for them. The American people are slaves to the rest of the fucking planet as long as the leftist retards have a say in these matters, because they want to tax your grandchildren into poverty to borrow money from China to give it to countries that fucking hate us. It really doesn't matter how you try and spin it. That's the actual reality of things. Do I feel bad for third world motherfuckers that are dependent on U.S. aid to survive because they all have AIDS and they're going to all die without medicine from the U.S.? No, actually not in the slightest. I'm a horrible human being, apparently, because I don't have any empathy for these people. When we are mortgaging my grandchildren's future because we are so far in fucking unsustainable spending, because every governmental parasite piece of shit has to have their cut of the pork, has to have their pet projects, has to have their sponsors and their donors get a taste of all of our fucking incomes. I mean, we are literally just, we are slaves that are allowed to pick our own outfits at this point, basically. We have to go to the state for permission for everything we want to do, and if we don't give them their cut, they'll fucking take it by force. In that mentality, we are no longer a free country, and the globalists would have it be that way for all of us, an elite ruling class and a bunch of pissed upon motherfuckers who are there merely to sustain the elite class. And you get all these retarded leftists and fucking socialists and communists, and they all seem to think that, oh no, this is the answer to that. No, that is the fucking end game of that. It is a bunch of retarded sons of bitches that have no basis in reality for anything they try to endorse, that seem to think this fucking retarded utopia, everybody's going to be equal, but some of us are going to be a little more equal than others. And it's utterly maddening and sickening to me that people can't see this shit. That people are so brain dead and brainwashed. We've got American politicians out here swearing allegiance to other nations. We particularly, and I don't know how the fuck we wound up with so many fucking Somalis in our fucking government, but we got Ilhan Omar and we got some other dumb cunt who's out there literally saying, I am here to represent the people of Somalia. No, cunt, you're in the U.S. Congress. You are here to represent the people of the United States of America. If your loyalty is Somalia, you need to get the fuck out and go back to Somalia, where they will not tolerate your fucking mouth and they will not tolerate your shit attitude, and you can get stoned for somebody looking at you and deciding that you gave them a boner because you remind them of their granddad's fucking goat's asshole. Wow, I'm really worked up over this shit. But anyway, yeah, so that's kind of where we're at this particular moment. There's a lot of saber rattling, a lot of nothing going on. People are saying, oh, well, Obama's going to get brought in on charges. And no, the fuck he's not. Oh, this is going to be the one that finally gets Hillary. No, the fuck it's not. I mean, maybe they'll give Bill up. He looks like he's about to die anyway, and I think if he spent his last days the fuck away from her, he'd probably die happy. But at the end of the day, I don't think any prosecution is going to come from it. I don't think there's going to be any fucking world-changing, earth-shattering revelations. Everybody knew that this shit was ridiculous. The leftists having to admit it and have the evidence waved in their face, they're just going to say it was fabricated. Nobody's going to eat any fucking crow. They're all just going to keep spinning the shit. Well, we're still racist for not wanting them in charge, and everybody's fascist and everybody's sexist and all this other shit. Oh, that reminds me, before I wrap it up, speaking of something sexist, so something that is absolutely fucking hilarious to me. American Eagle, the clothing brand, and normally this is not the kind of shit I talk about, but it's just hit me right in my funny ha-has. American Eagle launched a new ad campaign using Sydney Sweeney. Now, Sydney Sweeney, not a bad-looking young woman. She's pretty well put together. She's everywhere right now. She's the hot shit right now. Her rat gets a lot of attention. She's not stupid because she's. I mean, I've seen her do some interviews. I've seen her. I saw some of her clips from Saturday Night Live. She's kind of funny. She's an okay actress. She's fully aware of what her assets are, and she's not afraid to use them. And good for her, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know much about her personal life because I'm not one of those people who gives a nickel-plated fuck about celebrities' personal lives. I don't know if she's a fucking Mensa member. I don't know if she's dumber than a box of fucking hammers. I do know she's working the system right now, and she seems to be doing okay for herself. So good for you, girl. But anyway, American Eagle puts her in a new line of like advertising for denim. And it's like Sydney Sweeney has good jeans. And she's taking these provocative pictures of her in some like a pair of jeans and a jean shirt. And she's got it, 3/4 unbuttoned. She's got her cleavage all pushed up. And in the span of like a day since this campaign launched, I have seen multiple videos of these leftist, retarded fucking land whale heifer cunts. Literally every stereotypical thing you think of when you think of negative impressions about a leftist female. Fucking greasy hair, thick glasses, nose rings, shitty tattoos, face piercings, looks like a tackle box blew up in their fucking face. The kind of cunts that are out there going, well, I don't want to be attractive to men. That's why I do this. It's like, no, bitch, you weren't attractive before you put all that shit in your face. All that's just enhancing it so you can try and act like the fact that nobody wants to fuck you is your choice and not because your fucking snatch probably smells like 6-week-old cottage cheese and a fucking tuna sandwich. But, okay, that was a little graphic. I apologize. But at the end of the day, all these fat, ugly bitches are out here trying to say how this campaign with Sydney Sweeney is sexist, it's racist because she's got blonde hair and blue eyes. So obviously, American Eagle is a Nazi brand because they're doing Nazi propaganda by putting an attractive blonde hair, blue-eyed, in-shape woman in their product to try and sell it. And they're calling for boycotts of American Eagle, and they're calling for people to go out there and protest, and they're saying this is going to backlash on them so fucking hard. And yes, the meltdowns are funny because the ugly fucking land whales that probably smell like mushrooms and fucking melted cheese are not. Them being pissed off about an attractive woman in an ad campaign is nothing to be surprised about. These are the dumb motherfuckers who want to say Dylan Mulvaney would be Woman of the Year. So that part in and of itself is not surprising. The jealousy is not surprising at all. These cunts are reminded because of these campaigns of how just utterly destitute and alone they were because they were physically unattractive, and on top of being physically unattractive, they have absolutely shit personalities, and rather than working on themselves in any way, shape, or form, they will try and attack the supposed male ideal standard of beauty because that's part of the patriarchy and she's just leaning into it. And I'm like, no, this is a smart woman who's doubling down on using her assets to enhance her position and line her pockets. Good for her. Get that bag. But these fucking retarded land whales are out here, and again, the ones that are killing me. Oh, well, this is just more of Trump's fascist America. Look, they're using Nazi symbolism to sell their jeans. We should boycott this. And that's, like I said, that's the part that really tickles me, that makes me giggle, that warms the cockles of my dead, compressed heart, is that these retarded, worthless, fucking hot topic shopping sacks of cunt think that them screaming and raging and bitching is going to push this thing over the edge and it's going to blow up in their face. What they don't understand is when you are bitching and protesting and trying to go against and boycott a company that you never spent a fucking nickel with, your words carry no weight. I mean, fortunately, the corporate America seems to be coming back to sanity in this respect, and they've stopped kowtowing to people that are not their target audience, that are not their target market. American Eagle is not going to give a fuck that a bunch of fat, tattooed, hairy, pierced up bitches that have never set foot inside of an American Eagle store are gonna bitch and protest because they don't like their marketing campaign. These bitches are not a net loss. Nobody that shops at American Eagle is going to listen to these tired heifers and go, you know what? They're right. We should totally not buy this shit. And if you want to look at like the 1-day sales prices at American Eagle, it's like been skyrocketing, which I find abso-fucking-lutely hilarious, because the unintended consequences of these retarded leftists who believe that by taking to TikTok or Instagram or wherever, Blue Sky, I guess they still do that, and making these videos, showing the ads, trying to highlight why it is a disgusting, sexist, fascist fucking campaign, puts eyes on the campaign for free. Literally, American Eagle pays nothing for this publicity. Puts it in front of people that may not have seen it otherwise, again, for free. They're not paying advertisers, they're not paying marketers, they're not paying anyone to put this media in front of random ass leftist sacks of shit on the internet. Now, the thing about the algorithm and the way the internet works is not only mouth-breathing leftist trolls are going to see this shit, it's going to occasionally wind up it's just more popular reels get more feeds. So by hate watching this shit and watching these rant videos about this stuff, it winds up in random ass people's feeds too. You know how I know? Because that's how I found out about it. I was, doom scrolling on my phone, as we all do nowadays, and I saw a reel pop up of some fucking bloated, pasty land whale bitch with greasy, lank hair and fucking a tackle box in her fucking face and fucking Coke bottles so you could probably see the fucking future if I put them on. And she's going off about how Sydney Sweeney represents, American elitism and Nazism because she's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, fit woman who's representing this product instead of cramming some bloated fucking sack of guts like herself into it, or some guy with a beard and fucking tits. So, yeah, in a lot of ways, the American consumer is fed up with that shit. And corporate America has started to realize pandering to people that don't buy your shit isn't fucking profitable. They learned from Budweiser's mistakes in a lot of ways. They learned from a lot of their own fucking mistakes in a lot of ways. They learned from fucking Jaguar's fucking mistakes, realizing fucking unemployed barista trannies don't buy fucking Jaguars was probably a really expensive lesson for them. And catering to those people doesn't get you fucking sales. When you have some, I'm a social justice warrior and I work at Starbucks, but I'm here to protest and I'm here to, because, that way I have the flexibility to go out and work for my good causes, even though I don't actually make any money working for those causes. Yeah, those assholes don't have a lot of disposable income. You don't need to pander to them. They need to be mocked, ridiculed, and ignored. And, I'm kind of looking forward to a return to normalcy where these stupid self-important twats realize nobody fucking cares what they have to say, screech and howl your disdain for everything into the night. But at the end of the day, we all know you're really just bitching about your own failings, your own shortcomings, and how much you actually hate yourself. Because society's not going to sit there and tell you how wonderful you are, because you're fucking not. At the end of the day, when you are a nothing, when you contribute nothing to society, when you bring nothing of worth to the fucking table, no matter how much you try and bitch and whine and protest and complain about it, at the end of the day, deep down in your fucking core, when you know you're a non-contributory member of society, when you bring nothing to the table but whiny self-righteousness that nobody wants to fucking hear, you may deny it, you may try and feel self-important, you may try and tear other people down to get rid of it, but there's a little hole in you. There's something that's lacking, something that's missing from you. You are deficient. You are less than, and you know it on some deep level. No matter how loudly you try and crow about how the rest of the world is a problem, at the end of the day, you know you bring nothing to the table, and you know you're a failure. You know you're a waste. Kind of hurts, doesn't it? Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord. Come and interact, be a part of the show. Buy the merch, support your favorite creator. Or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.